right, and we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Hunting Beast Report. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good start to fall because we are in it now, and we're pretty excited. I am your host, Scott Biskobing, and I am joined, as always, by the Beast himself, Mr. Dan Infault. Dan, how are we doing tonight?
I am alive.
Alive with some purpose there. It sounds like you're feeling good about things.
Feeling really good.
Good. So what's new? What's on the docket? What's been happening with Dan? Have you gotten out maybe once or twice, or are you out there every single night? And I think we know the answer, but go ahead.
I've been poning it, really grinding it hard. Really busting ass out there.
Well, you've got a lot on your plate this fall. Would you say that is this abnormal for you? Are you hitting it harder in this early season than you normally would, or is this the norm?
This is the norm. I think the only thing I'm really doing different is I'm really trying, and it's not really different. It's the same kind of mythology, but I'm really locking it in that I have to be in places where people aren't getting. And I have to be pushing into these areas where I think people aren't, because the pressure here is really ramping up in early season, way more than usual. And It's been doing so on a progressive path for a few years now. So I know that in order for me to get onto a big buck quick, I have to go find one. And I have to seek out places where I don't think people are pressuring them.
Sure. Do you want to talk about any of your hunts so far? I mean, I know last week we talked about how you didn't have to take much of a step off your stand because of the pile of mosquitoes. Has that died down a little bit for you?
Yeah, it's kind of funny with mosquitoes. They're not like that in every spot, and it doesn't seem water regulated. Like one spot you'll have 2 or 3 mosquitoes buzz you, and the next day, a spot a quarter mile away, you'll have you can't even breathe. They're flying into your lungs, and even with bug spray, they seem to just buzz you so bad that you have a hard time concentrating.
Right. Chat here says repel is gold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can still taste it on my lips. It's like burnt in there so bad from spraying myself down every night that.
Yeah. It's good for you. I hear it's really good for you. It's got like vitamin C in it and stuff.
You notice I'm not wearing my hunting hat. I usually wear that. It smells so bad like off. It's just like it's nice to get a break from it.
I did notice that. What about any encounters or anything like that? Do you want to?
Well, it started out pretty rough. I mean, I've been going into with an acorn year. I've been going into Oak Islands and stuff, and some of them are really remote because I know that there's going to be people. And I got into like opening day, a very remote island that was dropping acorns pretty good, and there was sign of deer there, but no particular buck sign. I didn't find no rubs. I didn't find no scrapes. None of that. Where usually even early season, I find that in spots where they're feeding heavily. And the tracks were older, but lots of them. The trails were beat down in the swamp, and the browse was eaten down real low, like the jewelweed and stuff. But if you looked at the tips close, you could see they're starting to brown a little bit, and I wasn't finding too many that were fresh. I still had real high hopes, and all the acorns were cleaned up on the ground, but I didn't see a deer where I expected to see a lot when I got in there. Now, you never know if somebody got back there, but that particular opening day spot is so far back, I don't think anybody went in there to put a camera up. And the typical spots a camera would be, there wasn't one, because I kind of go beyond them. And it's that spot is real treacherous to get back there. I did a post about it. I went through to to the boys. I mean, I got stuck out there with one leg. I couldn't even get it out. I had to grab a tree and pull myself out. And I could see how an older guy could get stuck and not be able to get out, period. I mean, I was literally could not get my leg out of the muck. And it's not like I'm being stupid.
Yeah.
I'm watching where I'm walking and stuff, and it was just grass, you know. And it was a pothole in a tamarack area where most of it's pretty dry. You might get a couple inches of water on your boot. You're walking, and I just stepped, into a low spot, and my leg went down past my knee. I couldn't get it out. There's a suction, and I ended up having to take my stand off, drop my bow, and take my vest off, and lean all the way forward and reach out and grab a tamarack tree and pull with all my might and pull my foot out. And literally you got to curl your foot in a way so that you're not pulling your boot off.
Right.
Or you're digging for a boot, and I got out, then I had, that muck and my boots full of muck and everything. You still got to go out and hunt. And it literally took me over an hour to get to that stand, and I didn't see a freaking deer. And, you get into day 2, and I navigate to Owl Island, which is where Rat Slayer shot the 10-pointer or 9-pointer, I think it was, a couple years ago. Last time we had a good acorn year. And that particular year, the first time I hunted it, like opening week, I saw 25 deer coming to that island for acorns. And then I put James in there, because about a quarter of them were bucks. I put James in there, and James shot the 9-pointer. And I figured this time those deer are going to be coming in there like that. I get in there right away, day 2. And I navigated back there. I didn't see no signs of human. I was excited. I saw my first rub, but it was an older rub, but not where I was hunting. Quite a ways back on the mainland in the Oaks. Then I got back there, and I did notice all the way back I wasn't picking up rubs. And the last time was an oak year. There's rubs the whole swamp back there. And, you got to navigate quite a ways to get to the swamp. And then through the swamp to this island, you can't even see the island. It's a treacherous thing, but the island does stand on the map, so you want to hit it early. So I get to the island, and I creep up to the tree. I get to the tree. Everything looks good except for I am not seeing a rub, not seeing a scrape, which was hard to believe because the acorns were raining down around me. And there's no acorns anywhere else. You're in a swamp.
Yeah.
So I get to the point tree. I get up the tree. I get set up. I get the stand set up and everything. I'm looking at my shot lanes, and I look down, and there's a scrape in front of me. I'm like, oh, okay, a scrape. Then I look close. It looks a little too worn. So you look above it, and there's a rope hanging. Then you look around a little bit. You see the camera, and you're like, oh, crap. And then you can start to make out some cut limbs laying on the ground, and the leaves are probably about a week or so old. So 25 deer the first time I sat there on an oak opener. How many deer do you think I saw that day? Zero.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah,
maybe not even a doe or anything, huh?
You think about it. I mean, these guys, they can find a spot like that. They can study a map, and they can say, oh, this looks like a great spot. They can go out there, navigate it, look at, okay, I'm going to go to the point, I'm going to go to the end of the oaks, I'm going to set up a stand. He literally picked the same tree as me. Whether he watched a video or he picked it randomly, I don't know. But he picked the right tree, the right spot. He knew where to put the scrape. There was a scrape there at one time, so he probably made this scrape over a scrape, right?
Yeah.
But he went in there and set this thing up a week before season as the acorns are dropping and literally kicked all the deer out of there with all of his setup and stuff.
Yeah.
And the guy will probably start getting pictures in a few weeks of deer randomly coming in there. Once in a week, he'll get a buck on there or something, and he'll think he did something smart. When literally, if he would have just left it alone till opening day and went out there and hunted, he'd have probably saw 25 deer.
Yeah.
So I hunted there till dark, and when I came out, that was the best part because coming out was not such a nightmare as it usually is. Because when I shined a light up, I could see bright eyes, and there was one every 6 feet or so on a trail that was cut with a machete the whole way out.
Yeah.
So it was an easy walk out for once. It was most of the route I came in, but
right.
There's one on each side of the tree. You turn around, there's lights the other way too, back and forth. So he's planning on morning hunting, evening hunting it. But they don't even know the damage they do. But that is the typical setup I'm running into, and I could tell you about 4 or 5 more hunts that were ended exactly the same rope, same scrape, same camera. There's a thing with these people doing this. I mean, I don't have a problem with putting out a mock scrape or putting out a camera or something. You know how I put out a camera? I put one out this week. I went into a spot and I had never been there before. Scouted my way in, found all kinds of sign, none of it fresh. All from pre-season because it was like on bean fields.
Yeah.
But you could see rut sign really heavy, and you see this rut sign went on for years, and you could tell nobody really hunted this property. It's not marked as public. It's really small, and there's no trees. There's a little corner that's got a patch of trees. I walked in there a couple of years ago with a gun to see if there's any deer laying in the cattails, and found the bedding and was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I should come back here sometime and bow hunt this. Well, this was the time trying to get away from all these cameras and ropes, right? So I went in there and I looked at that, and there's a corner there that's all beech trees, and they range in size from your wrist to bigger around than me. And there wasn't a tree in there out of probably 1,000 trees stuffed into this little, 40-yard circle of trees. There wasn't a tree in there that hasn't been rubbed in, like, they're all scarred, even the giant ones. And there's heavy trails coming right out of the bedding into there. So if those deer are bedding, and really, literally everything surrounding this piece is open fields.
Sure.
So these deer are coming out of there, and most people don't even know this is public. It's not marked. You have to do some research. But anywho, the deer come out of there into these trees, and there's scrapes there and stuff. And you see they're before season when the beans are green. You can tell. And now they're gone. And if you look in the distance, you can see corn and, some oak woods and stuff on the private. And so I'm like, oh, man, the deer are going to be here sometime in mid-October. I don't think that's actual rut sign. I think that's like pre-rut sign. Where the deer are coming out of that bedding pattern, marking stuff because they're aggressive going into rut. So there's a scrape there as you come into that area of trees. I put a camera there. I'm not putting a camera there, chasing deer out of there to do it in a spot I'm going to hunt anyways. I'm going to wait and see if those deer show up, mid-October, or if any hunters show up, they're going to show up on my camera. And then I know whether or not to go back. That's a good use of a camera to kind of monitor the use and when. But you got to know if you're putting a camera on an oak island on a point where the deer come in out of bedding into the acorns, that to do that while the acorns are dropping, not when you're going to hunt it, is kind of foolish.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree. Are you still seeing acorns still dropping in that area?
Yeah, they're slowing down really fast though. The oaks that are in the swamps seem to have dropped pretty quick, but for whatever reason, the deer aren't hitting them like usual. They are not getting pounded. They're not getting scraped. Even the places that don't have the pressure, I'm actually finding deer into those buckthorn jungles, not in the oak trees.
Really?
Feeding on the jewelweed, feeding on the stinging nettles, the natural browses. Some of them still hitting a little bit of the beans that are still green. They're starting to hit corn pretty heavy, but I'm just not seeing the acorn action I should.
Do you think it's because they're pressured a little bit more in some of those oak areas?
No.
They've
always been pressured in oak areas. I don't know what it is. And I don't know, maybe it's just the coincidence of the places I've looked.
Sure.
Yeah, me too.
I know the acorns have been dropping by me like crazy. Opening day. I didn't have anything, no real shooters, other than I did on camera at one spot, but it was a spot that I just couldn't get in to hunt with the wind. But I had this little guy pop up and hang out underneath my stand for quite a while on opening day. And then and I had this guy here too, video of him.
You hunt tame deer, he looks at you, just walks away.
I know. And he's kind of like grunting away there.
Yeah.
Real soft. He's got a decent sized body on him. I was surprised if you kind of look at his belly area there. I mean, for being a younger deer, he's got some fat on him. But yeah, that was that. And I had a couple other bucks that I had video of, but the quality wasn't as good. But I had a few bucks bed within 25 yards of where I was sitting. So, you know, somebody's chiming in. Jet says he's a shooter. Yeah, Steve's goes, nice buck, Scott. Well, it's not my buck. It's just a nice buck. I actually sent that over to my buddy who was hunting on another part of the property in that, and I said, "Would you take this one?" And he goes, "Yeah, I would." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to." I'm like, if push comes to shove and the season really goes bad or whatever, and he gives me another chance, I have passed up.
If I was hunting on that lease, I would really say you should shoot that buck. But if I'm not hunting on that lease, I would say you should probably pass it.
Yeah.
Because if you're hunting on that lease and you shoot that buck, then I got the lease to myself.
Right. I think maybe that's where he was going for. He's like, if it comes back, you should go ahead and shoot that. Because we both know full well there's some better bucks out there. But I've done, I've definitely made the mistake in the past of shooting or passing on bucks that I shouldn't have opening weekend or even the first 2 weeks, just because I know there's other ones around. I've also been fully aware of the fact that those bigger bucks, I might never see them again. They might move way off of this property. I mean, we're only talking like 190 acres, right? I mean, that sounds like a lot to some, and it's a decent size. I mean, it really is. However, there's just no guarantees. There's no guarantee that on opening weekend or first weekend in October, even that one of the neighbors doesn't kill one of those target bucks. But that's the roll of the dice you play, right? I mean, if you want to shoot something bigger, I mean, I told Mike, I said, I've got a bunch of those bucks on the wall. You know, I've got plenty of those. You get to a certain point where you're either okay with that, continuing to shoot a buck that size, or you want something bigger. And for years, I was very comfortable shooting, 130-inch deer or whatever. Not to say that obviously either one of these were 130. I don't know. I'm not much into scoring or whatever, but I'm just going to say those 8-pointers, those real nice symmetrical 8-pointers like that, he was a little on the spindly side. I thought didn't carry a whole lot of mass, but come gun season, that might be a different story though too. Like he might if he's still around anyways. But yeah, you get to a point and you wanna just kind of hold out. And I've been there, done that way too many times though in the past, only to live to regret it. But that's, like I said, that's the roll of those dice there. I did want to just go back here. Now that we're getting a whole bunch of comments rolling in here, and guys, feel free to ask questions in this episode here. We don't have a whole lot of real big topics. There's a topic we're going to get into here. I'm going to try to pay attention. If I don't pull up your question, feel free to ask it later on in the show again, because sometimes, they'll just come in fast and furious. But, I just wanted to bring this one up here too. Frisco 94 says, you guys were both great at Huntstock in Massachusetts last month. Thanks for giving this Q&A, those Q&A sessions. And, we appreciate the nice comment there, Frisco.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
We'll hopefully see you out there next year. And if it trips your trigger, come on out to Wisconsin for Huntstock. We'll be at both next year, so we'll do it all over again. We'll have a good time. Let's see. As Just want to hit. There was a question here about hill country. All right, here we go. Found it. Kyle Schmitz says, how do you prioritize what stand to sit if you have multiple setups for a specific wind? Okay, that's not the one, but it's a question nonetheless.
How do I prioritize it?
Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking in my head, which spot gives me the highest likelihood of killing a deer that has the right wind. And that's the one I'm going to go to. And I might have a list of them. There might be like 5 stands I'm looking at hunting. But I'm going to go into one, I'm going to try it because I think that's the best one. I might learn something, and it might alter my decisions from going to the next ones. So I'm always trying to hunt my best spots. So for me, at this time of the year, really, I did not get onto any. Well, I shouldn't say any. I got onto some shooters, but I didn't get into any where I really wanted a hard target, or that were in real huntable areas. Some of them were in areas that are very hard to hunt. I still might go after them, but it's just like the one shot kind of thing. So a lot of what I'm doing is I'm hopping around trying to find a deer to hunt. When you're not seeing sign, it's pretty hard because I've seen I'd count the rubs I've seen on one hand, which is very abnormal for this time of year for me. But I will go and I'll check a spot, hunt a spot, and throw hunts at things until I start getting into some action, and then I'll narrow down, which is where I'm at now. I put where are we at? A week and a few days or something. Now I'm finally starting to narrow it down into a big buck. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to prioritize it by what I think gives me the highest odds.
Okay. Ethan Darnell asks you, Dan, would you hunt food or funnels in early hill country?
I'm going to hunt bedding.
Always with the bedding.
So the bedding is probably going to be around food. Not always. I mean, sometimes they'll travel a long ways to food. But food-related bedding is what we're going to be looking for. So
especially in early season. Yeah.
Correct. So if there's everything's corn and blah, 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 and you got a lush, alfalfa field that's kind of specifically located someplace, and you can think, where's the bedding around that? Where's the best bedding in proximity to that alfalfa field? Because I think they're going to be feeding in that green field at this time of the year. Set up on that. Give that a shot. See what it looks like in there. You don't find much sign. Well, maybe I should check the corn. But what you can do is go to those areas like when you have some time, like when you have a day off or whatever. Maybe you do a morning hunt or something quick. Then midday, go and walk the perimeters of all those fields. Look and see if there's any good sign, good tracks, good sign, browsing sign. What are the deer feeding on? And then kind of look, okay, so now I'm going to shift my attention to where these deer are feeding right now. And you've got to do that kind of quick because that changes on a weekly pattern. And if you're finding old sign, this is a big problem with a lot of people. Even I can get caught up in it to a degree. You really got to age that sign because sign 2 weeks ago will look fresh to you. And they change patterns quite often. Mm-hmm. So I want to find fresh sign. I mean, if you can get out after a rain, like the day after, and then check those field perimeters, well, then because you'll see the footprints. You know what I mean? You'll see they're in here now, not 2 weeks ago. Because they change constantly. They'll be on corn for a week, they'll change the acorns. They'll go from acorns, they'll go to clover or whatever. But the patterns change real quickly, real rapidly. So finding that really fresh sign is key, and then hunting it quick. And where a lot of people will have problems is they're weekend warriors. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. People have jobs, careers, and families, right? But one thing that aids me in my success is I find that sign and I hunt that for 3-4 days right there and then. Not the next weekend. Not, that getting in there now is kind of important. So if you are limited in time, I mean, making sure that you get a good scout in that first day to find out exactly where they're at, or if if you do have cameras, dropping those cameras on the food sources is probably not a bad idea. so you know where the deer are feeding, because that'll give you and you know what time they're getting there. You can kind of take some good accurate guesses as to where they're bedding. But people need that pacifier. I was thinking about that in that spot I was talking about earlier. They know it's a good spot. You know what I mean? They're like, I think this is a really good spot, but mommy, can you tell me, please, is there a deer there for sure? I have to see a picture. And they go through the camera right on their hunt spot. What I want to do is I want to put my pressure at the food sources and stuff where they expect it. They expect to smell people, coyotes, all kinds of crazy shit at the food sources. So that's why they come there at night. So you get those pictures or see that sign there. And then when you go to the bedding, it's the first time and you make a precision strike and you kill that deer that first day when you go in there. But the timing on that scouting is pretty critical.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially when it comes to the churro camera stuff too, like needing that picture. I can't tell you how many times that what I see in stand and what the camera actually picks up are completely different things. I can be hunting near a camera. Take a case in point, all those deer that were near my stand and that, none of those. I have one picture the entire weekend. I think I saw 7 different bucks opening weekend, and only one of them, I only got one picture on trail camera that one actually walked past it. Some might say, well, it's because of where you have your trail camera. Well, I don't want it exactly where I hunt. I want it in that vicinity. I want to know where they're coming in and out of these bedding areas. But bucks will avoid cameras for sure. Absolutely. I mean, and how many times, and Dan, you've talked about this in the past as well, where you get a picture and if it's a mature buck, they'll look right at that camera.
Oh, yeah.
Like they know it's there. Whatever kind of electronics that they can sense or a sound that it makes that we maybe can't pick up or
one thing I've noticed on like when we had Dave's farm and you have permanent stands out there and we sit in observation stands and watch these deer, you watch them come out and look at the camera. Mm-hmm. Look at the tree stand. I mean, we hunt these stands 3 times a year. Sometimes there'd be a year we wouldn't even hunt a stand. But those deer that are mature that grew up on that land, that are 4, 5, 6, or in the case of the last deer Dave shot, 7. You think they don't know where those stands are? You think they haven't smelled where you've walked? You think they haven't smelled that camera? They come out, and when they come out, they look up at that tree. They go in a wide berth around it. A trail camera, tree stand, same thing. It's your scent profile. Something weird was there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't know it's a camera, but they know something associated with that guy that's trying to kill him is right there.
And maybe not even in that moment, right? Say, well, I had my cameras out there 6 months ago or whatever. I haven't even been close to it. I haven't changed the batteries, or I've got a solar panel on it. At the time you put it up, you left a scent profile there, and that's now ingrained in their mind.
I can't tell you how many times I've hunted private land or even public land where people got like illegal stands up. I know some places stands are illegal on public, but when a guy puts a stand up in a good funnel, or what they perceive as a good funnel, they shoot their 1.5, 2.5-year-old buck there every year and rut or whatever. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that it's worn in, like this guy's been hunting this for years, and you just go to the typical downwind side or upwind side and look for where those deer are slipping around that because they're afraid to go by that tree. They make a route around it. They learn that over time. And that's where you find the big stuff. And you can sit over there on that, 75, 80 yards for this guy's stand. And more deer are going to go by his stand than by you. But I'm not hunting more deer. I'm hunting an older deer that's patterning people.
Right.
And mature bucks pattern people. So you got to get used to seeing less deer to kill bigger bucks.
Yep, I agree. All right, we got another question here, and this was, again, from Frisco 94. Dan, I got busted by a deer at a spot near bedding at closing time on Saturday. How long would you avoid that spot before hunting it again?
I would probably hunt it the next day, right away. And you're probably not going to see them, but you keep them honest. Sometimes they'll come right back through the next day, um, like nothing happened. But quite often they do spook, and the ones that spook often will not go past that spot again without checking it out. And if they do, they're probably going to swing downwind. They're probably going to smell it. They're probably going to be very leery of that spot. So I would not hunt that exact spot for that exact buck. But I would be thinking, okay, he don't like this. How's he going to get through here now? How's he going to come around this? How is he going to go through this area? Or where's he going to bed now? If you bumped him right next to bedding, that bedding might become unsafe. It doesn't mean other bucks won't bed there after your scent calms down, your profile. But it's probably burnt. And to me, if you're hunting a bedding area, if you're, 50, 75 yards from a bedding area on the trails coming out, you hunt that more than once or twice in a year, you're telling mature bucks not to hunt there. So you just hunt there to one time, and then you move, you shift, you know what I mean? You keep shifting around. Now, if a bedding area like that has multiple ways out, you can hunt it multiple times, the different ways out. But you got to keep hopping around that property and not specifically hunt them in that exact spot. He's going to be in the area. He's not leaving. Everybody talks about you kick him off the property. I find that rare, especially with mature bucks. It's really hard to kick them out of an area. They grew up there for a reason. They found all the little hiding spots and stuff. So when you bump them in an area, they just move to the next one. They move to the next one. So for me, like a lot of what I'm doing is I will hunt different spots and stuff until I get my eyes on a big buck. And then I'll go in that area and hunt that deer down. And what I mean by hunt him down is I had an interaction. I doubt I'm going to kill him in that spot. I had an interaction. I bumped him. I seen him from stand. He seen me. He smelled me. He's probably not coming back to that spot, but he ain't leaving the woods. He ain't leaving the area. He's still there. He's just going to get a little more nocturnal, a little more sly, and you got to get a little more sly, and you got to think about where he's at. And it's kind of like a war game. You look at that and you say, okay, let's turn the tables. Make me the deer, and all these people out here are trying to kill me. And if I had the intelligence that I have as a human, knowing how people hunt, where would I go in this woods where they wouldn't find me, where they wouldn't even look? And that's the first place I'll go to. Mm-hmm. And generally, I think it's because of scent. I mean, it's still got to have some cover to deer like, right? But the main thing is scent. They're not getting human scent there, right? But you're looking at it as where would people not go for whatever reason. But where they don't go is where they don't get scent. So that's where I'm finding these big bucks. I'm finding them in buckthorn thickets. I'm finding them in treeless areas, places where people don't set up cameras, where they don't go in there and hunt. They don't harass. And just hunt that area down. Think about your highest likelihood spots. Now, that doesn't mean you jump in and you run right to the best spot in the woods. Because you got to have enough tact to say, if I do that, I'm going to burn this spot, and this spot. That might be good. So kind of hunt it down in a methodical way to hunt that forest down with putting as little impact on it as possible. Like I'm hunting a spot now where, let's just get it out right now. Last night, I had 2 encounters with good bucks in the tree stand. The first one, I don't know if it was a shooter, but it was a pretty good rack buck. And it busted me. I was 5 feet up in a fat girl stand in a buckthorn thicket. He got head on at me. And from a direction I didn't expect, and spotted me in the tree, looked at me like this, then turned 90 degrees and just walked off. There was a deer that wasn't very spooked. That's a deer you could kill the next day. Because he looked at me and he's like, something ain't right.
Hold up. Wait a second.
But I don't know if it's bad or not, but I'm not risking my life over it. He just turned 90 degrees and kept walking. So he didn't even run. Right? But the second one to come in, oh my God, it was a monster. I had it at 10 yards, and that buckthorn, that dirt underneath it is black and soundless. It's not making a sound. And that deer got to 10 yards before I noticed it again in that same hole the first one got into, where it wasn't expected. I wasn't set up for that spot. I set up for trails to my right, trails to my left, coming out of that same bedding. And I look up, and there's a buck that's over 20 inches wide with baseball bat thick beams and high tines, and he's working a scrape that I didn't know was there. And while he's working, he's putting his head up and down, and he locks on me. I'm like, oh crap! And I got the bow in the hand. I never got the camera on, but when he saw me, he did this, like, had to look closer because I wasn't moving, and he took a step out and he exposed his vitals, and then he just locked on me, ears forward, a stare like death, and he's going to bolt. But there's a moment of hesitation, right? So I thought, and it's really thick. You got very limited shooting. But I got a shot right here, right now, while he's looking at me, and I thought, maybe I can slide this bow back, and he hesitates, he stomps before he runs, and I get a shot. I got the kisser to the lip, and he ran. And then, again, he didn't like crash off, snorting or anything else. He just kind of bounded off. I don't know that he fully, it wasn't a very hard bump, But if he gets over to where I was, I left a big scent imprint because I had to clip branches and stuff to get a shot out of that damn buckthorn, So there's a pretty good scent impact if he comes back over there, which I don't know that he will because he felt a little danger. But now I'm looking at that, okay, now I know there's a buck there that I want to hunt, at least one. And that buck is definitely a shooter. And now I'm going to hunt that area down. So I'm going to look at that like, where's he going? Where's he going to come from? Where's he going to end up? I've already got plans in mind. And wouldn't you know it, today the wind turns around exactly the opposite and it's blowing right into where I think he's living. And so I needed a day off to get some things done. So today's the day I took off. But would love to be in there. I think I know where he is going to move to because it's not that big of an area. So I'm going to hunt that area down and I'm going to make a very good attempt at killing that buck. And that's what you need to do. I mean, this isn't a lease. It's not a farm. We're not going to go sit in the box blind, and eat our gummy bears and the ham sandwich our wife packed for us and turn on the ozonics machine. And, you got to go hunt them down. It's a task. And you're going to get busted in a lot of these setups. I mean, I set up in a tree where you're likely going to get busted. But if I don't set up there, I don't have a chance. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you make that setup and you do that. Now I'm looking at other ways I can get in there and hunt this thing. But that's me. I'm just hopping around trying to kill this buck. So now my hopping is going to go from a quarter of the state down to one property. And I'm going to kind of really focus on this deer. And maybe if I get a bad wind, I go after a different one that I know that I'm thinking about,
Yeah.
But this deer is going to take up a lot of my focus now.
Yeah, because you laid eyes on him. That's awesome. We have a slew of questions, and it's awesome. I just wanted to go back to this one here. Let's see. Well, I had pulled it up here. Uncle Lou chimed in, wanting to hear your new hunting story. You must have talked to him last night as well, huh?
Yes. I talked to him today. I'm away home from work.
Today, okay. David wants to know, is Dan saddle hunting this year?
Yeah, out of a tree stand. Without a saddle.
Without the saddle.
I do quite often turn my stand around backwards in certain trees and sit on the seat backwards. I have I don't know if people know that, but there's tabs on the stand where I put it so that I can sit backwards, and I got cutouts on the seat to put your legs on backwards so that you can actually sit on the stand backwards and face the tree. And I do that quite often.
Fallen tree outdoors. How long do you notice bachelor groups remain intact? Would you say on average? I'm already seeing them.
The first week of September usually.
Yeah, I mean, I saw bachelor groups opening weekend, but based on what my cameras are telling me now, that's already changed.
Yeah, that's usually it, right about that first week out of velvet is about the end of it.
Yeah, they tolerate each other. Mm-hmm. They have no problem still somewhat bedding in the same area.
Well, I had 2 bucks come out of the bedding yesterday, right?
Right.
$2 but a thing is too. I mean, a lot of guys with these bachelor groups, if you're hunting public, it's a whole different ballgame. Usually there ain't that many big bucks around. They don't have bucks that are same age class to hang with a lot of times. A lot of times you're loners.
Let's see. You know what? We're gonna pause because this conversation is being brought up here now, and it's actually one, believe it or not, that we plan to talk about tonight. Colorado lightning strike killed 2 hunters. William chimes in here, and a lot of you guys are talking about it. This is actually something that Dan and I were planning on talking about tonight, and to prove it, there it is.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy story. I mean, I know these kinds of things happen, and so here we have, I believe they're both 25 years old. One's from North Carolina. One is from Salt Lake City, Utah. And
Yeah, I give you my first initial thought on this.
When they first went missing.
Yeah, when they first went missing, we heard about it on the radio. Me and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
We were driving someplace, and I said, "There's foul play involved." And she says, "You don't know that. They could have fell off a cliff. They could have got attacked by a bear. They could have got attacked by a mountain lion." I go, "Bears eat one person, the other person runs or
right.
fights. They don't eat 2 people. Mountain lions don't kill 2 people." Mm-hmm. I said, "People don't just follow each other off of cliffs. I mean, we're not lemons or lemons or whatever those animals are, right? We don't just walk off cliffs." I said, "There's foul play involved." She says, "I'd like to think that there's not." She says, "I'd like to think something just happened." Because she don't want to think that people are evil, right? Which is usually a feminine trait. But I knew something was up with this.
Well, my wife thinks everybody's evil, including her husband.
Right. I'm the only one Carol thinks is evil. You know? She says, "I get a look in my eyes when I'm going to kill a deer," and she says it scares her.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely crazy story. I mean, but not in the same aspect. I mean, this could happen to anybody at any given time. In fact, here's a little chart here on backcountry lightning risk management. I just weeks before the season started, I have a water hole on one of my leases, and it was probably about 3 weeks before the season, and we had taken, I don't know, something like 200 gallons of water out to get this one water hole filled up because it was pretty dry. And storms rolled in and kind of just kept going with it, wanted to get it done. My buddy was messing with some trail cameras, setting up a couple more. He was way on another side of the property. And now we're just absolutely just getting slammed by thunder and lightning. And I'm telling you, that stuff freaks me out. I walk almost every single night after dark, sometimes like usually between the hours of 10 and midnight, try to get a good 2 hours of walking and hiking in. Last night we had some storms roll through. I'm watching my spark lightning report in that, and if it's anywhere within 10 miles, I just don't go out walking. Lightning is not anything to play with. And it sounds like that's exactly what happened. So they went missing, and they end up getting, the coroner's report came out, not officially. The one of the guys, his fiance, let me just pull up the article here real quick. I have it. Announced that she said, because this was in Conejos County, and the coroner, Richard Martin, speaking to the Colorado Sun, confirmed Andrew Porter and Ian Stasko were killed by lightning while hunting southwest of Monte Vista. I think it's another 6 weeks or so before the report actually comes out, but obviously gave the report to the Colorado Sun. Hunters were found below a tree and had slight burns on their bodies, Martin said. A slight burn is like if you take a matchstick and stick it to your arm. He said, and there were only 2 or 3 of them. He said hunters' deaths were likely instantaneous but he could not confirm the exact time of death. That kind of death is just instant. It's like you're alive and now you're not, Martin said. Just that quick, split second. Brittany Murphy, which was Porter's fiance, said Porter and Stasko were both experienced outdoorsmen who got caught in a storm, likely on September 12th. It is official that a lightning strike to the ground took them in an instant. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't feel fear or pain, Murphy wrote in a Facebook post. He was just trying to get back to the car as the storms rolled in on Friday, September 12th. It was out of everyone's hands, and I'm so grateful we found them so that they can be at peace. He was an experienced outdoorsman who was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. They say, according to the National Weather Service data, since 1980, lightning causes 2 fatalities and 12 injuries per year in Colorado alone. In 2024, a lightning strike killed a Jackson County rancher and more than 30 of his cattle. Wow, that had to be a big one. The last time someone was struck in Rio Grande County was June of 1982, when 3 people were killed and 1 injured in a single strike. I don't like to mess around with lightning. That's just me. I don't know.
I've seen a really gruesome, some really gruesome pictures of a whole bunch of deer dying from a lightning strike once.
Yeah. People come across that on every year too. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a good point. Yeah, it's freaky stuff. I will say if it is one way of going, that like they said, you're here 1 second, gone the next. There's worse ways to go, right? But when you're 25 years old, out on a hunt of a lifetime, hunting elk in Colorado, like that just sucks.
Got to have a real life comparison. Is it? Are you more likely to shoot a Boone and Crockett buck or get hit by lightning in your lifetime?
For me, it'll be lightning, even though I'm petrified of it. Not petrified, but I mean, I don't like to play around.
It is kind of a risk associated, though. I mean, most people get out of it. They go indoors or whatever. I think I push the limits a little. You know, I'll stay out there in the lightning and stuff, and I really don't worry about big trees and stuff. I just kind of feel like if it's my time, it's my time. Because even if you do things that are of high risk with lightning, the chances of it hitting you are still pretty slim.
Yeah. So
but, obviously, these guys won the lottery. Unfortunately for them.
Benny Laser is making fun of me here. He's laughing at my 10 miles in that. Now, seriously, look it up. Spark lightning is extremely dangerous within a 10-mile radius. I know it seems weird. I didn't believe that at one time until I did my research, and I'm telling you, it's a thing. Like, just because a storm has passed and it's miles away already doesn't mean that you still can't have lightning strikes. So
I had we got a house down the road where there was an alleged murder. Guy's family disappeared, and they found the father dead down, I think it was Arizona or something, and they never found the mom or whatever. They blamed the kid for doing it or whatever. And the house stood empty for the longest time. Then they auctioned it off, and the day it was bought, the lightning hit it out of a blue sky, and the whole house was lost.
Wow.
It was kind of a freaky thing.
Right.
I still remember that the house burned into the ground, and we went over there and we were talking to the firefighters, and they said lightning hit it. And I'm like, there hasn't been any clouds or storms or anything. Well, there's enough clouds that cause lightning. I'm like, it was like a blue sky. Lightning hit it out of the blue. Just took out that house. That's
crazy. But I mean, strange things happen for sure. Just kind of going through. Yeah, and an unfortunate thing. And I mean, I guess like if there's any good takeaway out of this thing is that, you know, it took them both out immediately. And like the coroner said, it's an instantaneous thing. And that there wasn't foul play, that we don't have some sort of another psycho out there. What's that?
Probably even hear the boom.
No, probably not. No,
I
I
had
mean, the,
I was in a machine shop one time back in the 80s, and they had this old Kearney Checker milling machine that was real ancient.
did you say
And it,
Kearney and Trucker?
yeah,
Yeah.
it had this big like box on the side of it that I always called the casket, and you'd have to open this big iron casket to get at the fuses that you'd blow every time you threw the switch,
Sure.
because you'd have to turn this giant face mill on, you know, and when you'd hit that, sometimes it would, getting that momentum up would blow the fuse, and the fuses were like Coke cans, these giant fuses that had
Hmm.
copper on each end and cardboard in the middle, and uh, I blew a fuse, and I had coolant all over the floor. I was milling these big pieces, and I was a young guy at the time, early 20s probably, and they had this big plastic pliers you used to pull the fuses out, and I couldn't find the plastic pliers. Somebody didn't put them away. And I'm searching all over the place, and then finally I thought, well, the cardboard's insulated, So I took a pair of channel locks, and I grabbed the center of that cardboard, and the next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor. I was unconscious for who knows how long. When I woke up, I could see people's feet under the table working on the other side. They didn't even know. It knocked me unconscious. I had a burn on my hand where the handles were. A
Yeah.
pretty bad burn across my hand where I was holding onto the handles, and I had a burn on the bottom of my foot, and my shoe was melted, and that went right through me, knocked me out cold, and I got up. I was in a daze, but I never knew what hit me. No pain, no nothing. And I would imagine those guys with that lightning, if anything, they started to see a flash. Didn't no pain. I mean, nothing. So they,
Yeah.
they died pretty nicely, if you can say that. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right. Like I said, there's worse ways to go. Steve chimes in here with they were sheltering under a tree, which is kind of a natural way to go, but not the best option, obviously. They say, like, if you have to take shelter in a storm, to be in an area with a bunch of low trees and that, not just one single large tree, because that's kind of
I
like your
carry,
lightning rod.
I carry a big metal pole with me, and I poke at the sky to warn it. Stay away from me.
Stay away from the beast. Like, don't mess with the beast. Well,
Yeah.
that's you, Dan. That's you. You do a lot of things that not everybody else is
Did you
going to
ever see?
do.
Did you ever see lightning hit a car? I seen it hit a car one time, and the car just kept driving, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Really?
It, yeah, the tires insulated. From what I was told, because I talked about it quite a bit after seeing it, but it actually hit the top of the car, and um, the guy just kept driving. Like he stopped for a second, then took off, and I think the insulated tires, and nothing happened to him. He just like,
So he didn't even know it happened, or
oh, I think he knew it happened because it
yeah,
was so loud and violent and light.
yeah,
He drove off afterwards.
yeah, to the nearest gas station to throw his underwear in the garbage.
Probably.
That's what I'd be doing. Man, we got so many questions here. Bear with me, guys. We definitely appreciate them for sure. It's just really hard to keep track, and I don't want to miss people here. I just see one. Would be helpful, guys, if you could start your question with question marks in the beginning. They're a lot easier for me to pick out. So if going forward, if you could do that, that would be great. Here we got one here from Backlund 5. Dan, what is your strategy? I said that kind of weird. What is your strategy for when you tag out in the early season? Do you continue to scout in season? This is North Star from the forum. Thanks.
Hey, North Star. So there's this thing in me where I always like, I'm gonna take a break this time. I'm gonna take the rest of the season off. I'm gonna spend some time with Carol. I'm gonna do some things, and it never works out that way. A couple days later, I'm pacing the floor. And generally, for me, I don't do a lot of scouting in season because I'm just spooking deer from other people and stuff and just ruining people's hunts. So the scouting I do is kind of in season, as if I was hunting, and I put somebody there. Like I'll throw Dave or Eric a bone, or my son James or something, or I'll take somebody out hunting. I really don't doe hunt. Not that I don't like taking does and stuff. It's just that it's really hard to get that mindset in me. But I usually end up traveling. Like I'll work a little harder at work, and then take long weekends or do travel trips, run to someplace else, for whatever time I can. But the hunt just don't stop. You can't turn it off. Not with me.
Right. I mean, how can you? You're the hunting beast.
The only way you turn it off is to stop the season. I mean, when the season ends, the season ends. And when the buzzer goes off, then I can't.
Right. With that said, you have a very busy schedule. You're heading out to Maine in a couple days here.
Yes. Finally get on a big buck and it's time to leave town, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to head to Maine. That's going to be a hell of a hunt. I'm taking Brendan. I don't know if anybody remembers Brendan from the last gun deer drive video that we did. Brendan was the young man that I work with. He's an apprentice underneath me. Well, now he's a full-blown machinist, journeyman machinist. But he never hunted, had interest, didn't have anybody in his family or anybody in his friend group that hunted. So I invited him along on the gun drives and asked him if he had a rifle. He said he did. He showed up with like an AK-47, which is kind of interesting. But he hunted one day, got a nice 10-pointer. I think it was a 10-pointer. It was a 10 or a 9 or something. Hell of a shot. With that AK-47, he shot it at like 100 yards on one of the first drives we did. And he likes the hunting. He'd like to try some of the bow hunting and stuff. I don't think he can afford all the equipment right now. I never realized it, but when he's asked me everything he needed, it's a lot. If he really has interest, I'll probably supply him with some stuff. But I'm going to take him along on the bear hunt to film for me because he wants to experience it. And it's a hound hunt. I might do some stand hunting. I don't know. But I'm going with Dan Wagner out of what's that called? Great Northern Outfitters, I think it's called.
Yeah. Yep. Great Northern Outfitters. Yep.
And Dan has quite the reputation with giant bears. Last week he shot 5 bears, and the average bear weight was 344 pounds. They weigh every bear. That's an enormous weight for a 5 bear average. I mean, most people that get a 200-pound bear tell you it's 350. Yeah. Everybody kind of exaggerates weights. He's really
that's true.
He's put him on a scale, and he's taking a picture of the scale and stuff. And I mean, these things look like monsters. I can't wait to get up there and try that. He was telling me most people gun hunt them because when you get onto really big bears, they tend to not want a tree. I mean, some of them get up a tree, but for the most part, they turn on the dogs and they get into thick cover and what they call bay. And he says it gets a little hairy even with the rifles because you get in really close and they'll charge you. I mean, when they see you come in there, because they're scared, right? Their backs against the wall. I mean, me or you do the same. I mean, you got a gang of people come after us and they corner you and they're coming out to hurt you or kill you. You're going to do what you can to survive, right?
Right.
So, it gets a little hairy up close. And then I told him I wanted to bow hunt, and he got a really kind of weird grin on his face. And he said, "I never had a bow hunter or." And then one of his guides showed me all the scars on his arm from a bear attack. And I said, "Yeah, I really want to do this with a bow." I says, "I got a death wish. I walk around with a rod and the lightning, like we talked. But I really think it's pretty safe, anyways. I think, But anywho, Brendan's got the rule. I sat him down. I said, "There's one rule." I said, "And people keep failing this rule. I want to make sure I get it through to your head." I said, "Your number one job is just to keep that camera running no matter what happens. Do not shut that camera off. He goes, well, what if the bear is attacking you and eating your leg? Keep the camera running.
Going to be great footage.
Dan will help me. Or I'll help myself. There ain't nothing you're going to do but scream like a girl and run anyways. Just keep filming. What if the bear leaves you and comes after me? See, he's not a bear hunter, right? And I said, if it's got to come through me and Dan, you ain't got a chance anyways.
Right. You're already screwed.
Just keep filming. Ask the bear for forgiveness. But it should be fun. I really look forward to it. We should get a really good video out of it. I don't know exactly what all to expect, but I'm driving 28 hours one way to get there.
Non-stop, no stops, just lots of Red Bull and Monster, right?
Yeah, we're just gonna put toothpicks in the eyes and hit it.
Yeah, somebody had asked before if we were both going up to Maine this year, and no, I am not. I'm not driving 28 hours with the beast.
I'd have took you. You could have been Brandon.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'm kind of surprised he wanted to go. And when he told me, he goes, "Oh, that sounds like such a great tip." I said, "You want to learn how to run a camera?"
It does sound like a great trip, and having met him, you're going to have a blast. I think you're going to have an absolute blast, and you're going to have opportunity at one heck of a bear, I'm sure. So what you had mentioned to me earlier too, that with your bear license, you got a deer license in too, huh?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I've been told. So I guess I got a big game license. I can deer hunt and bear hunt. So I believe if I shoot my bear, I can still deer hunt. So I may stop at Steve Morris's place and do a day of deer hunting with him or something, or two, depending on if I get a bear quick or not.
Right.
Even Pat from Huntstock, the guy who runs Huntstock,
was
like, hey, you get one early, you call me, we'll go to New Hampshire, we'll go to Massachusetts. I got some spots. So I might do a little deer hunting when I'm up there. We'll see. I will kind of want to get back and get after Wisconsin. It's a weird thing with a guy like me. I don't know if everybody's like this. I don't think they are. But with me, I live in a very hard hunting area. Everybody thinks Wisconsin is so great. You kind of know this, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But the great stuff in Wisconsin that you hear about, like more Boone and Crockett's than any place else in the world, more Pope and Young's than any place else in the world, is really a small area of Wisconsin.
It's true.
99% private land. You really don't hear about, outside of me, very many public land guys in Wisconsin. Most guys are on leases, they're on private land. Wisconsin's a tough area. But there's something in me that drives me to the success here. It's like, if you can't kill them at home, you don't qualify. Anybody can go to Iowa or Kansas. And I don't mean that as any kind of slam or anything.
Right.
But I mean, those travel trips, anybody can go to a destination that's well-known and kill a deer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to do it in your backyard and outperform everybody to really say you know anything about hunting. So I take a lot of pride in killing one at home, but I still don't want to just go out and stab a little buck, right? I want to take something that you can be proud of. So I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Something like that, right?
Right. I'd love to kill that thing. Actually, me and him would, have a conversation. Tree stand, trot off. But
I did.
There you go. But yeah, so there's going to be an and I take this with a grain of salt. If the thing that happened to me yesterday didn't happen, I'd probably be thinking really hard about sitting there for half a week with Morris or with Pat, and hunting with those guys,
mm-hmm.
And trying this new area. But there's something pulling me back. There's even this little bit of, even though I want to go kill this giant bear, there's this little bit of me that doesn't want to leave now.
Right.
Come on, you get those eyes on them. There's something about that.
Yep. And you got those eyes on him now. So
once you slap them on the ass, say you're coming for them. Yeah.
Game on.
You feel it, It's
right.
like it's one-on-one now.
You could actually take two bears while you're there, right?
I think so. I think that you can shoot one and you can trap one. if I understand the laws right. But you can't shoot two. I don't know. Maybe somebody's on from Maine. They can explain it to me.
There is somebody just chimed in recently here. He's like, this is Maine is where I am from. Glad to see you try my state. So is that, I can't, Kogajo Outdoors? I apologize if I butchered that, but yeah, if maybe you could chime in and let us know what that rule is there. Because I thought maybe it was one with a bow, one with a gun type of thing.
No, I think it's one with one hunting, one trapping. If I understand it correct. Now, I could be totally off, but that's the way it was kind of explained to me.
Sure.
But I didn't read the rule book, so.
Is the cameraman required to watch The Revenant? Probably, or maybe not. Maybe not till after.
Yeah. So that rule came in effect a while back. We were on a hunt, and many of you may have watched this if you're longtime fans. One of our gun videos. We were on a hunt, and one of the guys is the detective from Waukesha Police Department was with us, and we're going to go hunt this area, and we get there, and there's a canal, and the canal is a little deeper than we thought, and we're gun hunting, so it's cold out. You don't want to get wet, and we hit this canal, and we can't get across it. So I'm like, we're getting across this. We only got like 3 hours left in the day. This is going to be like the last big drive. And if we take too much time pissing around, we ain't going to be able to do it. So let's just move, let's move down this canal until we find a way to cross it. So we get down the canal and we find this log across, and it's pretty wonky. I mean, it's, there's a little bit of very thin ice on the water, not enough to hold a guy up. So we're going to go across this. Nobody wants to go first. It looks bad. So I get a stick, and I'm like, I'll go, whatever. And I go to Eric, and I says, you take this camera, you film everybody go across in case something goes bad, and don't put the camera down. And Eric's like, okay. And I'm like, don't put the camera down. Just film whatever happens. Okay. So we start going across. I get across first, make sure it's okay for everybody. And I get across, but it was a little bit wonky, but I made it. So then I throw the stick back across for the next guy, so he's got something to poke with, right? And I don't know, maybe the third guy is the detective guy, and he gets on that log and just slips, right? And he goes down bad, and he goes down in a way where his feet come out from underneath him. His feet land on the logs or trees or whatever that are going to cross the river. Yeah. And he goes in body first and goes in kind of upside down, feet sticking up into the water, going down. And it's not looking good. It's looking like he's in trouble. He's panicking. Right. He's in trouble, and we all run over to help. And Eric drops the camera, turns it off, and goes, "Oh my God," and goes over to help him. And I'm like, "You don't turn the camera off." And he's like, "Dude, I don't care what you think. I'm not going to let somebody drown." I go, they're not letting them drown. There's 10 people here. One guy can film. Don't turn the camera off.
Right. That's golden footage right there.
Right.
Well, you live and learn. That's.
I felt a little bad because we get him out, we clean him up, and I'm like, "Oh, you're still good. We'll get over there. We'll do this hunt." And he goes, "Dan, I am soaked. I'm not going hunting anymore." And everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, "Okay, we'll call it for the day." I probably did look a little crazy because I was upset about the filming, and I still wanted to hunt.
Right, like piss on me, right? We got a question here, Dan, from Christopher Young. Dan, we are doing a weekend public land challenge in Michigan for a weekend, mid-October. What should we keep in mind with lots of pressure and big swamps mixed in with egg?
I would really be looking for overlooked spots. When I was in mid-Michigan, I remember going there and everybody telling me, "Your overlooked spots don't work here. People hunt everywhere." And I found more overlooked spots there. I thought it was more of a tactic there than it is back home. And I think a big part of the reason is a lot of these guys were putting stands in permanently because you can leave a stand up for the whole season in Michigan. So they put stands up for spots, and nobody's putting that stand up and leaving it, in those fat girl spots next to the road. And I found a lot of really good spots that were right next to the road where people were going back too far. You know what I mean? They were getting, those guys are hardcore in Michigan. They will go to the center of a woods. They'll go through a swamp. They'll go through a bog. They'll walk through water to get to an island. But they feel like a pussy if they're sitting right next to the road. So, to me, finding those spots that people just don't look at. One of the better spots that I found, there's like an axis that was alongside of a private property. And if you walked into that axis, the trail just kept leading you out, and it went into a big grassy area. But if you followed that property around in a circle and hunted by the road on the other side of the property where there was no axis, you were only 500 yards from the axis, but there was some deer activity there because people weren't going there. They weren't doing this big U circle back to the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a hot area. So you kind of got to think outside of the box. Where's there no pressure? And really, that's the most important thing. Where do you have deer sign? Or I mean, not deer sign, deer terrain. What they need, and what they need in Michigan, most of all, is wet areas surrounded by water, right? When you get that with thick brush and wet areas, where, and you put that area in a spot where people aren't going, for whatever reason, if it's the mental thing that draws them past it or whatever, look at those spots. I don't think you're going to see as many deer as the guy that goes out and finds the Oak Ridge or the Oak Points or whatever, but you're going to see the bigger ones, the ones you want to shoot.
Sure. Dan, did you hear about this? I'm just going through some of the comments here. Did you hear about the bear in Fond du Lac?
No.
Zach Braps, did you all hear about the bear that was killed out of Fond du Lac County, out of the El Dorado Marsh? Probably the first bear taken from Fond du Lac area in forever.
So was it taken over bait or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would guess.
Yeah.
But
so
I can't imagine they're running dogs through the El Dorado Marsh.
I'll tell you something. We've got some bears over here. I'm not going to say where, but I got one on camera in my county this year. I got some friends that got bears that they've been watching them, seeing them. I got a permit. I can go shoot it. I won't. I'm not shooting the only bear in Jefferson County. I just won't do it personally. But I did run into somebody over there who has a bait set up. And the way Wisconsin works is even though there's no bears here, you can hunt bears here. If you get a permit for the southern portion of the state, most people are hunting by Black River Falls or hunting, in Unit C up against the borders of the other units.
Right.
But you can literally hunt all the way to Illinois with a Unit C tag. And it's legal to hunt here. I have a permit. I know where there's a bear here. I will not shoot that bear. I wouldn't do that. It's the last bear or only bear around here.
Do you think he's a bear that actually lives in the area or just a roamer?
Well, one of my friends took a picture of a bear with cubs. Well, not one of my friends, but somebody I know of took a picture of a bear with cubs in this area. So, and about 10 years ago, by Dave's farm, there was a bear with cubs. So they get down here, and the bears with cubs are not roamers. Sows aren't roamers. They go take up residency.
Right.
But the boars are roamers. So you'll see those little boars show up all over the place. I am kind of shocked that somebody shot one in Fond du Lac over bait, if that's true, because it had to be holing up at that bait for quite a while.
Yeah. If anybody has any more information, feel free to chime in here.
That ain't that far out of the realm, though. I mean, my biggest bear was shot just north of there, not too far.
Well, Steve says no dogs are allowed in Zone C.
But that isn't really true.
No?
So you can't use dogs to hunt, but they can use them to practice. Mm-hmm. So they practice up until 7 days before the season. So all through July and August, they're just pounding it with dogs.
Okay.
But they can't hunt bears with them. They can't actually harvest and kill.
So, I mean, he is right. I mean,
That's what I said. It's not fully true. It's not
Right.
100%.
I think what he was getting at is that dogs aren't allowed to be used for hunting in Zone C.
I mean that it must be bait kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I didn't, a bear being shot, I think he said harvested, but a bear being shot doesn't mean that the guy shot it like hunting over bait. He could have shot it randomly while he was hunting and he had a tag. It could have been that he shot the thing and didn't have a tag. I have no idea. I haven't heard the story.
Those kinds of things don't happen, do they?
Not at all. I mean, literally here, you go up to like go up by Ashland or something. The bear walks through town. Everybody comes out and takes pictures of it, and you're like, cool. They all talk about it for a week, right? Mm-hmm. Down here, somebody sees a bear cross the road, and literally we had people going door to door saying, lock your kids up, lock your dogs up, don't put your dog out on a chain. There's a bear running loose. It's like, really, people? It's just a freaking bear. It's like a big raccoon.
Yeah, the worst thing that's going to happen is your bird feeder is going to get hit up.
Right. Kurt Hagen. You come to any of the workshops? You didn't come to, did you?
Not to that one. No.
The place where we do the workshops. Mm-hmm. He was sitting down for dinner, and there's a bear outside of his window eating out of his bird feeder. He took a whole bunch of video of it and stuff. Yeah. Right here in Jefferson County.
Wow. We got another question for you, Dan. Sure guy, don't care. Worst weather condition ever hunted?
I give two examples. One of them was a really big 8-pointer I shot in a thunderstorm. In the middle of a thunderstorm when I was sicker than a dog. I had the flu. I was actually puking out of the tree. I shot a really big buck. I was in my 20s. Nowadays, I wouldn't even hunt in that like that, but I was obsessed in my 20s. The other bad weather condition was Nebraska, hunting in 110 degrees. It was brutal.
Not even a cold weather situation.
Cold weather? Yeah. I shot a deer in the season of 1990, but I think it was actually 1991 because I think the season in those days ran into New Year's Day was open too, I think. But I know it was the last day of the season for 1990. We had weather advisories of I think it was like 30 below wind chills and stuff. I mean, it was really, really brutal. They'll tell you not even to go to work. And I went out hunting and shot that buck on the last minute of the last day of the season. I shot it right at closing time. It was a nice 11-pointer. That was an incredible hunt for me, but I actually froze the tip of one of my fingers, turned black, and I had some problems with that for quite a while. But I went out and sat it and got it done. I remember because back then you had laminated wooden limbs. I don't know if anybody on here is old enough to remember those.
Yes.
The limbs on compounds were actually wooden, and they were laminated over the top with fiberglass.
Yep.
And you'd have to leave your bows in the element that you're going to use them in, because if you take them in and out, they develop like moisture and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, when a deer came in and I went to pull that bow back from sitting in that cold for so long, first of all, your muscles lock up in cold weather.
Yes, they do.
It's really hard to pull a bow back. And if you've never done it, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But it's like the bow feels like it's 3 or 4 times heavier than it actually is. And then at the same time, those wooden limbs were frozen up. So when I went to pull that bow back, and we had giant aluminum arrows back in those days, these giant, like Lincoln log arrows.
Yeah.
And I took that bow and I went to pull it back, and I couldn't get it to pull back, and the buck's at like point blank. And I tried to pull with all my might, and there was like a loud creaking noise, and there's like a shattering of like little white crystals came off of that, because there must have been like an ice coating on the limbs.
Yeah.
And it made this loud creaking noise. And I remember that buck just going and looking up at me. And I got that bow over and I launched that arrow, and the arrow just kind of lobbed out of that bow. It had like no strength from those limbs being frozen.
Yeah.
And a really bad hit because of it. Even though it was like 10 yards, the arrow just kind of lobbed into it and hit it in the liver and didn't even pass through. It had no, and I was shooting a 70-pound bow. It had no power with those frozen limbs. And I ended up having to track that deer for 5 miles because there's a lot of blood and there was snow. And I thought I could get away with pushing it a little bit. And I waited like an hour or two because of how cold it was. I wanted to get done and went to follow that deer and jumped it. So then okay. And I knew I liver hit it. I shouldn't have did that, but I was like, 1990, how old was I? What, the 20s. So then I went home, waited till the morning, and because I jumped that thing, and it only went like 100 yards from where I shot it, it would have been laying right there dead the next morning. But then I had to track it and track it and track it. I ended up, it went for miles and went to where you can't even hunt, and it went into a park, and it was just crazy. But and a coyote had found it and ate part of the face off, so I didn't even get any pictures of it. I got it mounted, but with a different cage.
Went for the face, huh?
Yeah, ate the nose. Probably because there's blood coming out of its mouth a little bit.
Oh,
I think I got
sure.
the liver.
Sure. Normally they go the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you're talking about with your muscles locking up like that and not being able to draw your bow back, because for many years, late season was one of my favorite times to hunt. And I would hunt in extremely cold weather when nobody else would be out. And I remember one morning, and I had probably been out there already for 4 hours at that point, and the bucks and the does were already kind of herding back up, and a big group of them came in. There was a nice buck in there, and I grabbed my bow off the riser or off the hanger, and tried drawing back, and everything was locked up. I couldn't do it.
It almost feels like something's broke. You can't even get the budge. Like,
it feels like a dream, right?
no.
Like when you can't punch in a dream. There's certain things that just like, or if everything you feel weaker in a dream. At least I do, anyways. I think that's a thing. But I just
a lot of guys that do a lot of cold weather hunting will use lower poundage. They'll set their bows for like 45 or 50 pounds the whole year, because come wintertime, they know if they're still hunting, they're going to have issues.
Right. Yeah. And I absolutely did. And to the point where I literally just had to just sit there and watch them. I mean, it was so frustrating, but what can you do when you physically can't do it? Your muscles are so locked up. And now, had it been 2 hours earlier, it might have been a different story. But by that time, and I already knew I was pushing at that point. I'm like, this is really, really cold. I'm like, maybe I should just get down, warm up, come back out in the afternoon. But let's see. What else do we got here? Siamese Tater says, I shot a doe this past Sunday evening. I blood trailed at 75 yards through briars, only to find a bobcat had claimed my deer. Have you ever had an encounter with predators while recovering a deer?
Interesting. I wonder if you saw the bobcat or whatever. I have not. I've had coyotes eat deer on me on a few different occasions. That's quite often. One thing I do to prevent that seems to work is take my undershirt off or something that's sweaty and smells like me, and putting it over the top of the deer. If it's got to be left behind for a while I get help or something. But I have had deer eaten, like when you don't find them or you leave them sit overnight because they're liver hit or whatever. But the only predator I can imagine that I can remember coming upon on one of my deer that I've shot was an eagle. A bald eagle was on top of it eating the wound.
Really?
Yeah, I saw the deer. It had died out in an open grassy area. And as I was approaching, I saw that there was something on top of it. It actually, from a distance, it looked like something different. Like was there a big dog on it or something? Because actually, an eagle's pretty big, and it looks like when they're sitting on a deer, it looks pretty huge.
Yeah.
When you see them on the side of the road or in a tree or something, they don't look that big. But when you had it in comparison with the deer, it looked huge.
The little dinks you shoot, I mean.
Right, exactly. The little tiny ones,
Yeah.
But that deer was ripping up. He ripped that wound out to a hole about like this. He was getting into like probably eating the lungs and crap. He was getting his head in there and everything.
Sure. Just let him take the guts out right away for you, make your life a little bit easier.
Right.
Let's see. Christopher says, how long until the AI-powered thermal hunting drone season?
Probably coming up pretty quick.
Probably sooner than we think or can even imagine.
Yeah, technology's getting out of hand, for sure.
Yeah, somebody brought up something else about a drone here. And again, guys, I'm apologizing for the drone stuff or some of the things I'm missing here. Maybe somebody can bring that back. Oh, wait, here we go. Herman's Habitat. And this is in response to somebody else, but he noticed that the drone research backed up a lot of what Dan's been saying for a long time, especially thermals. So I think this goes with, I believe his name is Derek Dixon. And he's been like on every show. And Dan and I talked about having him on from Jump Street. And now he's been just absolutely everywhere with these thermal videos, and everybody's got, they're all up in their feels about it. What are your thoughts on it, Dan?
It's kind of a scary technology. I mean, here's the thing, and I know guys that use drones personally for like deer recovery and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something about, like, you can be a totally honest guy, but if you take that drone, you fly out over a field to say you're looking for a deer, and you see some giant buck there. I mean, you can see like it's daylight with the thing, right? You're going to look. You're going over the top of it. You're going to look and see if it's the wounded one or whatever. You see that deer. Are you now not going to hunt it because you got drone intel? If you shoot that deer, you broke the law. Are you not going to hunt it? No, you're going to hunt it. And I know people that do. They got the drone footage. They see this stuff. I've heard them talking in groups, and they're like, oh, did you see that property where we got that deer? There was 10 freaking good bucks out there, man. We got to hunt that. Yeah, I know right where they're bedded. They were better than this. So they're going out there with this intel they got from the drones. I don't like that. And if you have the kind of technology where from my house, I live on the public land. If I could, in the morning, sit in my backyard, fly up a drone, go over the cattails, find my target buck out there, see where he's bedded, look at what the wind's doing, come up with a plan. I would be hunting on an exit coming out of that bedding that he's on. Doesn't mean I'll kill him. And that's like Stephen Rinella did some crap. We stalk deer all the time. We don't kill them when we stalk them. We see them. It's different. The way we hunt bedded deer.
That was pretty spot on. I can't believe I've never heard your Steve Rinella before. That's pretty good.
He's a very opinionated guy about some stuff, and sometimes it's and I like him. Don't get that wrong.
Right.
But I'm at odds with him with certain issues. But if I set up on the exit trails of that buck, and there's 3 exit trails, I got a 1 in 3 chance he walks down that trail. And if you do that, I mean, it wouldn't take me more than a week to kill a deer like that. I wouldn't feel good about that. But there's a lot of guys out there. Even if you took me at 20 and be like, if you have this technology, I mean, I'd be tempted. You know what I mean? I wouldn't now. But I have to think there's people that would be. I have to think there's people
absolutely
who want to be a big buck killer so bad that they'll buy that technology, they'll use that technology, and they'll start killing all these big bucks. Now, you take a guy, and I'm not knocking him at all, but the guy you were just talking about that did all this drone research, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me that's not going to impact his hunting. You can't tell me he's not going to fly out there when he's hunting to see if that buck's bedded up in that corner. You know what I mean? If all he has to fly from his house or whatever, that a tracker. You can't fly unless you're tracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Scott, come over. You go with me. You sit in the parking lot with me. We get stopped. We're tracking a deer you shot.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, there's so many loopholes.
There's ways around it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Dogs work just fine to track deer. Dogs work just fine. They run right to the freaking deer. If the deer's dead, they'll find it.
Sure. So we're we're assuming this guy is extremely ethical because he's been straight up about the fact that I took a year off of hunting. Well, if he's
and I was kind of alluding to that, but I'm saying that even an ethical, moral person, if they
right,
got the intel, are they now going to say, okay, I have this intel, I can't hunt my property anymore because I know something about a big buck there that I got from drone?
right, whether
Legally,
it's this season,
legally,
right.
he
But yeah,
cannot kill that deer based on the intel he got from that drone. Do you think he's not going to hunt those patterns that he learned in his hunting area?
right, exactly. I
If he
mean, what he
does,
learned
he's breaking
there,
the law.
right. You're exactly right because all right, well, I took last year off and I did this research and I'm sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
But next year I'm going to get after that buck because
I can
now
tell
I
you
know
right.
his patterns and I know, I think I think it's great that he's trying to be an educator of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he's got some good information and a lot of intel. But I think at the same time, it's also opening Pandora's box
Right.
that there's,
I'm not blaming him.
let's say
That's
he's
acknowledged.
super ethical, right? Let's say he's going to follow the rules. What it has opened up is that, again, Pandora's box to all these other people that maybe aren't quite as ethical. You know what I'm saying?
And
And
him even doing this where he's showing what he learned, I can tell you there's people out there. He's feeding criminals. There's wheels turning. Holy
right,
crap, I get this, and you know what I can do with that?
right,
Say you're some outfitter or something. I can have the best outfitting business in the world. You look at me. Now I just told you about that big buck I found that I'm hunting. I might not get that buck. I might get the buck, might not. There's been plenty of big bucks like that I hunt that I don't get. Matter of fact, the majority I don't get. I can guarantee you right now, if I went over there with a drone and found where he's bedding, I'd be on him tomorrow. I'd have a really good chance of killing him. And if I did that a few days in a row, that sucker's dead. And that isn't fair. It's not fair to the animal. It's
no,
not fair to everybody in the hunting community. And I just wish they would ban them at least on public land. Just dogs work just fine. And there's going to be a lot of people that hate me for that. There's people I know that have drone businesses that are going to hate me for making that statement. I've heard comments that they've made about me making statements like that. Yeah, great for you and your business, and I'm glad that you recover all these deer because it is a really good recovery system. But what it's doing to hunting is wrong.
yeah, I agree, and I don't know what the answer is because how do you actually ban that? I mean, where do drones fall in the lines of other than there's FAA stuff in terms of how high you can fly and certain
They can
drones
ban
being
where you fly
registered.
them over public land or whatever, or at least some sort of licensing system where you have to call the DNR, fill out a report, you have to put a request in to fly to look for a deer or something
Yeah,
like that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's nothing we can do. I
right.
still don't like it, and I don't have to like it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you know that I've had drone guys on my show in the past, and these guys are on the up and up, and these guys are simply there and for the recovery of deer. In fact, if the deer is, if they're the only ones seeing the screen, and if the deer is still alive, they cannot show where the deer is alive or anything like that. But there's a whole lot of trust involved there. There's a whole lot of ethics involved with that, right? And the guys I talk to seem very ethical and are very much on the up and up. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to be. And it's very easy just to go like this, like, well, this is where he's at, and he's still alive. He's bedded down. And by the way, caught a couple other really nice bucks in this area and that, like little extra, flip me another $50 and I can tell you where there's another nice big shooter on your property hanging out. Like at what point do we put the trust in human beings, which I think is what we ideally would like to do. However, history has shown us that we're not a very trustworthy species.
Yeah, the bottom line is like I like to look at it as like public land is kind of the last frontier. Where if you got a wall full of bucks, you earned it. You
Hmm.
know, no matter who you are, no matter what we got in differences or whatever, if you're putting bucks in the wall, you earned it on public land. And it's starting to change. It's starting to be where you can buy that. You can you can buy yourself 50 trail cameras and put them out and get instant intel and you know go hunt cell cams. It's getting to the point where now you can hunt with a drone. You know, you can go find deer with drones. Um, I just don't like that. I like the idea of public land still being a frontier, still being a place where it's really you can't buy it, you can't just own it, you can't take it over. You have to be someone who does the work, and they're taking that
Hmm.
away from us. Basically, is the way I'm looking at it.
I agree. Sounds like Derek does as well. Let's see.
Do you want to talk about Rinella and his CWD comments?
Only if you're going to do another impression.
Oh, I will.
So some of you have probably seen a couple of the reels and maybe even listened to the podcast. I haven't made it all the way through the podcast yet. It's a 2.5 hour long one, and actually is a topic that I'm going to be discussing on the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show this Thursday at 7 p.m. If you want to check that out, a little shameless plug there, but I'm the host of that show as well. And Steve Rinella, as most of you know, the meat eater himself, just did a podcast. I think it was yesterday. It was out today. And I caught a little bit of it, but there were some reels going around about CWD. And the reel I saw that caught my attention was he was talking with some wildlife biologists, I believe. Don't quote me on anything I said because I didn't get through the whole thing. But in the reel, he's talking about I'm going to make some burgers here with CWD positive venison, right? I'm going to cook them up. I'm going to cook them to medium, and I'm going to offer them to whoever. To I believe what didn't he say, like, to somebody that kind of refutes some of the claims with CWD, CWD denier in that,
He's going to
and
Dan.
right. So Steve Rinella is handing this burger, this delicious venison burger, cooked to medium, and Dan, as a CWD denier, that's who he wants to talk to, because if you're willing to eat it and you're still denying it, he wants to know why. If you don't eat it, he understands why. Your thoughts on that, Dan?
I think I like Steve Rinella. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I like the guy, but he's a DNR puppet. He's just saying what they want him to say because CWD isn't killing anybody. It's not killing people. I've eaten CWD. You've eaten CWD. I think
Yep.
probably everybody listening to this is probably eating CWD if they eat venison on a regular basis. When you grind deer in a butcher shop, they do not change the blades. All the deer that get ground get mixed. The stuff gets mixed under. Prions don't die. They're not a living thing. They pass right through you. They're still active when you defecate. If an eagle eats it and flies over Illinois and craps, now Illinois has it. You know, CWD is pretty much everywhere, and everybody has eaten it. No humans are dying. Now, would I go eat meat off of a sick deer? No, but I do not test any of my deer, and I hunt in CWD areas. If they don't look sick, I'm eating them, and I'm not scared of CWD whatsoever, one bit at all, because I've done my homework and I've studied it. And everything that's said about CWD transferring to humans is bullcrap. Every biologist knows that. That's all made up crap to scare people into complying with the kill everything mentality. They want to lower deer populations, and that's their way to do it, is to scare you into thinking that CWD will kill you. And that is bull crap. Hand me the burger.
You want some ketchup and mustard? Yeah, no, I agree. I know for a fact I've eaten CWD meat, venison before. I'm not that far away from CWD area, and I know that plenty of deer have tested positive. Yes, a very sick looking deer. Would I feel a little bit different about it? Absolutely. However, I think I told you this before the show. I do or have for several years done this kids and mentors outdoors hunt in early December. It's to get kids that have never hunted before, that want to. They don't have family or friends or anybody to take them. That's kind of what this whole thing is. It's about. It's getting kids in the outdoors and through a mentor program. So I have volunteered to do that for several years and taking kids out. In the particular area that we hunt, it's a heavy CWD area. And part of the way that this works with the Wisconsin DNR, for these kids to be allowed to hunt with rifles and kill bucks in early December on private properties. So landowners allow kids to hunt their properties and things like that, is because they want all the deer killed tested. They come in and they literally do all the testing right there. They did this whole demonstration how they cut the neck open and pull the lymph nodes out, and then they use a scalpel, and they have to use a new one every single time. I mean, it's quite in depth. In fact, I videotaped the whole thing because I thought it was kind of interesting. But they cut each lymph node in half. Half goes in one bag, half goes in another. This one gets shipped there. This one gets shipped there. So on and so forth. I mean, that particular weekend, that last one, I think there was 21 deer killed out of 23 kids. And it's tradition on the last day, the last afternoon, that the deer that are hanging, one of the guys goes up with a ladder and starts cutting a bunch of the inner loins out and gets a big platter full and then cooks them on a charcoal grill so that everybody, the mentors, the kids, everybody gets to eat some delicious venison. Now, mind you, this is after all the lymph nodes and that have been taken out. We don't know if they're tested positive or not. I found out months later that, and don't quote me on this, it was 75 or 80% of the deer taken that weekend all tested positive for CWD. Every single kid ate it. Every mentor ate it. I ate it. Other staff members. Nope, we're all alive and well.
You're the only one that's sick, right? And only mentally?
But this is the thing too, not a single one of them looks sickly. I think in the 3 years, the last 3 years that I had done it, there was one deer that we all kind of were like, yeah, if one's going to test positive, it's going to be that one. It looked a little off, right, compared to the rest. But again, it wasn't, every other deer looked super duper healthy. I don't think we cut the inner loins out of that one that was in question.
Let's take a comparison here once.
Yeah.
I like comparisons.
Sure.
So, rabies, pretty serious?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean,
so
it was at one time.
Yeah, and it has outbursts. So you get outbursts of rabies that are pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
So a big carrier with rabies is bats.
Right.
And the DNR likes bats. So why aren't they putting a big circle on the map, killing all the bats? If they kill all the bats,
there's no money in that because the bats are eating all the mosquitoes.
Yeah, they like bats. Bats they claim are endangered, even though they're not really. There are a million of them in my yard every day. They put up bat houses. They do all kinds of stuff. Even though, people occasionally get in scrapes with bats and get rabies. There was a girl in Wisconsin. I think it was the first girl to ever live getting bit by a bat and getting rabies, and the first person to not die that didn't get the vaccination or whatever.
Right.
It's some old story if you look it up. But you can get rabies and you can actually die. It kills people. It's actually something that can kill people.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they don't put a big circle on the map and kill everything, right?
Right.
But deer Conveniently, with the CWD, conveniently, at the same time CWD came to Wisconsin. Now, remember, it was out west for since the 60s, right? Longer than I've been alive. They've had CWD out there, and they've just dealt with it. They just keep hunting. Nobody cares. Nobody has them tested. They just eat them. They just hunt them. For all these years. It comes to Wisconsin, and at the same time we get CWD in Wisconsin, which is the starting point of the whole eradicate CWD crap. Wisconsin, who actually works for the governor, who at the time was also in bed with the auto insurance companies, and as a matter of fact, when he left governor, he went to be the head of the
Right.
auto insurance companies. That was Governor Doyle. He was the one who wanted to eradicate every deer in southern Wisconsin, but he didn't really have that in mind, but that was his plan to lower the numbers. He threatened people and scared them into lower numbers by saying it was going to kill people. He released things to the media and stuff saying that on purpose to get the hype, because hunters would not allow them to lower the numbers. We liked having 25 to 35 deer per square mile. They want 5 deer per square mile. They still do. 5 deer per square mile when you got 20 or 30 hunters per square mile? That don't work for me. I mean, there's plenty of room for these deer. They got plenty to eat. There's no reason that we have to have the numbers that low, but they want them that low. And they're fighting the hunters because the hunters don't want that. Hunters like having lots of deer around. They like having big bucks around. They don't want to see one deer every week. They want to see a lot of deer when they're out hunting. How would you like it if on your lease they told you had to kill 90% of the deer? Would your lease even be worth it? Probably not.
No.
So people didn't want that. So they fought it. The only way that the DNR is supposed to work for us. So the only way they could get around us not allowing them to lower population was to have a disease. And then along comes CWD, and like, oh, now we got CWD. It might kill people. It might do this. We have to lower the population. We don't have a choice. Didn't have to in Colorado,
Right.
For 50 some years, longer than I've been alive. And I'm going on 60 years old. So it's probably 60 or 70 years it's been in Colorado. And nobody out there gave a damn. It wasn't until it got out here. And literally now when you look for it,
And where it's more heavily populated.
Anywhere you look for deer, you test deer, you find it. Because literally it's in their blood. The prions are, in their flesh. It's in everything in them.
Mm-hmm.
So if a deer dies, all those prions are wherever it is. Whatever eats it, they don't kill it when they eat it. So if it's a traveling bird or something, wherever it craps, there's prions in the soil. If the deer dies in a river, floats in the prions float downstream. The soil downstream along the river will have the prions in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no stopping it. It's everywhere.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I studied CWD quite extensively when it first hit Wisconsin because I fought them on all their crap. I remember there being studies were showing 24% of the herd has a natural immunity to CWD and wouldn't get it unless they could still get it, but they'd have to really get exposed heavily. Like they'd have to be in an enclosure where every deer around them's got it, right?
Right.
But in the wild, 24% probably not getting it. Their method wasn't to save them. Like, okay, stop shooting deer. They're dying of CWD. That ain't the method. The deer dying of CWD, kill them all is the method. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, you got bats that are dying from rabies. Are we going to kill all the bats? Hell no. It doesn't make sense. Just like it doesn't make sense to kill all the deer because they got CWD.
I mean, look what the government did to the deer farmers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, completely destroyed people's livelihoods.
Yep.
Because of it. And it's so unfounded.
Here's another thing that I found in my studies. Now, it's a small amount, but CWD is in the urine too, right? Mm-hmm. And they were allowing, because it's money, these deer farms and stuff, to still sell this urine and ship it not only all over the United States, but into Canada, down into Mexico.
Yeah.
And the CWD's in the urine they're shipping to these places. that people are putting in scrapes. They're putting on scent wicks, leaving in the woods, and
Dragging it all over.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very interesting. And like I said, it's a conversation. We're going to do a deep dive a little bit deeper on Thursday on my show. And I was really curious. I'm glad you actually brought it up because it was a conversation that I wanted to have with you. I wanted to know your take on it. I mean, I've kind of known it, generally speaking. I think we both have a shirt that we both wear shirts that say "I've killed more deer than CWD."
I think
that T-shirt.
on the next show we should have Steve Rinella on, and we should have a cookout.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make the burgers. Do you want to eat it?
I'm going to eat a lot of them because I'm going to get to eat Steve's, right?
Right, because he won't touch it. Oh, that'd be interesting for sure. And like I said, I didn't even get all the way through the podcast. I definitely want to dive deeper into it. There's a lot of wildlife biologists, deer biologists out there that have different takes on it. And I guess what would be interesting to really find out is who's in their back pocket when it comes to which biologist is saying this and that. Is this independent stuff? I mean, Wisconsin was involved with Dr. James Kroll for several years under Scott Walker, if I'm not mistaken, Governor Scott Walker in that. And what was his findings? Do you recall?
Yeah, I do. Dr. Kroll said that CWD was an unfortunate disease that we have to manage for, but it's you just manage the deer herd, basically, is what he said.
Which is what we already do through gun and archery license, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And obviously in those areas where CWD is more prevalent, there's more doe tags given out, for free. It's just part of, where I hunt, between gun and archery, I get $2 and 8 does without having to spend a dime on a bonus tag.
Well, here's the thing. You know where those things come from? They come from the CDAC board, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at that, what Walker tried to get involved and regulate what they were doing. And that's why he brought in Kroll and stuff. But he was having a hard time with that because he didn't know everything about CWD, right? So he had to bring in some experts and stuff. But one thing that Kroll said was kind of, that the DNR was a little out of hand, that they're supposed to be working for us. They're supposed to answer to us. So he wanted a oversight committee of the public. And he called for there to be a CDAC committee, not just him, but the group that with Walker, a CDAC committee to oversee the DNR so that they didn't get out of hand, so that the public had an input. So what they wanted was representatives from each county to be on a board for their county. I'm not kidding here. What they were asking for was somebody well known for hunting in the county who has like a platform, has a lot of people, like somebody who owns an archery shop, somebody who's a big name in like a YouTube channel or whatever, right? And I had the DNR warden for our county at the time come to me, and I had the biologist for the county come to me and ask me to be on that CDAC board. I was denied by the DNR.
Really?
And they took, right. You know what they're doing? They're hand-picking puppets. All these people on the CDAC board are puppets. And some of them are going to get mad at me for saying that because I got some of them on my forum. But what they do is you're supposed to be overseeing them saying, you're not killing that many does. We're not allowing that. You're not going to do this. We want this. The people in my community want this. They're supposed to be overseeing the DNR, and the DNR has taken that and they've twisted it. And they're saying, okay, we're going to kill 8 million deer in your county this year. Would you like us to have an 8-month gun season? Or would you like us to, Yeah, let's just take away your bow season and have a gun season. If you don't like that, your people need to shoot 36 does a year first before you can shoot a buck.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing all this bull crap, and they're giving them choices like have a gun season and late season. No longer have a late season. Have a holiday hunt instead, where you can just shoot does with guns and have all the free tags you want. Or you can have, this, that, or the other thing, and extend it in a month or whatever. But they're not letting them do their job. But they do have the ability to do their job if they'd speak up, and they don't even know it. All they have to do is say, we're an oversight committee. We're not doing any of those options.
Yeah.
I want the people in the county to have one doe tag, one buck tag. They have that option to represent the people of the county if that's what the people of the county want. But the DNR's twisting it and telling them they don't. They do. Matter of fact, we had a guy on our website, went by the name of Rancid Crabtree. I can't remember his real name, Ronald something or whatever. But he got on that board and for the next county over from us. And I talked to him about this over and over again. And a biologist for the DNR, who's a friend of mine, who will remain anonymous because they threaten these guys when they speak up. Yeah. But he was feeding me the information, what was going on in there, because he was upset about it too. And we told Ron that he had this ability. He had the ability to tell them, no, that's not what we're doing. And he tried it. And they busted him for putting some corn in the backyard for his dad like the next week, and put his name all over the papers and all kinds of crap, and threw him out of the CDAC because of that. They targeted him. Yeah, so it's deeper than people realize. You know, it's they're trying to manage this herd in a way they want to do it, and they're forcing it. Now, I don't have no problem with them having a different opinion than me on how many deer there should be, but don't lie to us and don't use a disease to force things on us, in my opinion. And I'm not, I get along with all the wardens. I get along with all the biologists. They're all, a lot of them are friends of mine. But this goes beyond that. People don't even understand who runs the DNR. It's not ran by the DNR. It's ran by whoever's the governor. And when a Democrat governor comes into office, the first thing he does is fire all the people the Republican Walker put in office and hire his buddies that he owes favors. It's always the position that they put the guys in there, like the little Jimmy who donated money to his fund. I got to have a position for him to pay him back for the money. I can't give him the money back because then people know it was a bribe. So, he donated money, so he gets secretary of the DNR. He gets, literally it's their neighbor, their buddy, their lawyer and stuff that's getting the jobs to run the DNR, not wildlife professionals. You know what I mean? And those political party people are running the DNR. And honestly, if I'm going to be honest, there's a little of that on both sides, Republican and Democrat.
Sure.
But I think it goes a little more on the Democrat side from what I've seen in Wisconsin when we have a Republican in office. They seem to care more about the wildlife.
And I know not all states are like that. Some states you actually it's up to the people to elect those DNR officials.
And that's the way it should be here. We should elect the head of the DNR. It shouldn't be the governor. It shouldn't be just placed on the governor. He's got other things to run. He's got the state to run.
Right.
The DNR should be voted in there by the people who care about who's running the DNR.
I think it's interesting, though, if you look at the states that are run much like Wisconsin, how much they're appointed by the governor. I think you're going to see a lot of things in common in each one of those states, depending upon if it's a red state or a blue state, who that governor is. And in terms of where CWD falls in line with that. I think there's a lot of correlation between all those. This has really sparked up a lot of comments in that. Like just for example, here Christopher says that's because it's about politics. I mean,
correct.
Well, it always is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a crooked game. And it is.
Yeah, and the trouble is, what I'm saying here is kind of politically incorrect. So most people who have a platform and stuff
Yeah.
want to work well with the DNR, so they want to say stuff that's favorable.
Mm-hmm.
To my detriment, I'm just an honest person. I just say whatever's on my mind. I always have. I mean, if there's something about you, Scott, that I don't like, I'll just tell you. Doesn't mean
You
we can't
have.
be friends.
Oh no, you
Doesn't
tell
mean
me
we
all the
can't be
time.
friends. But I'm all about honesty. I always have been. If I don't, one on one, I just tell it how it is.
That you do, my friend. That you do. Yeah, there's a lot of comments to go through here, and we just simply do not have the time to go through all this. But I know a lot of you guys are just kind of talking amongst yourselves too. Great topic of conversation. If you guys want to hear more, tune into my show on Thursday. We'll do a little bit deeper dive as I finish getting all the thoughts and opinions from Rinella and his wildlife biologist that he brought on his show. So that'll be on Thursday night at 7 p.m. on Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoors. So another shameless plug. Well, Dan, I think this is about a good time to go ahead and wrap things up. You are headed out to Maine in a few days. Good luck, especially with that 28-hour drive there and that 28-hour drive back. When can folks expect to see some more content from you as well as another podcast?
I tried really hard to finish some editing tonight, and I just couldn't. I've been going on like 3-4 hours of sleep a night.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up falling asleep before the show. I'm trying to get this deer episode done before Maine. I'm trying to get it done by Thursday. I don't know if I will. If I don't, it's gonna be done right after I get back, and then we'll do the bear episode. But I'll get them out right away when I get back. So I don't know. I mean, I might not be in Maine all that long. I don't think it's going to be too hard for me to kill a big bear. The way he does his operation. I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But as soon as I get back, we're going to get footage up as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
should be good stuff.
Yeah, and we'll get a show out as quickly as possible. It's that time of year, guys. We're all out hunting and got trips and stuff planned. It gets to be really difficult to be as consistent as we would like to be, but we're going to absolutely try. I can guarantee we're not going to have a show next week, Tuesday, but most likely the Tuesday after we will. And the times may vary a little bit too. If I'm out on a hunt or Dan's out on a hunt, sometimes we might have a little bit later start time. As the days get shorter, it'll get a little bit easier as well too for us to get out of the woods if we didn't kill something that night and then get on here and do a show for you. So
Dan Wagner said, can I ask you why you chose to use a bow? I said, because I know you ain't going to let me use a spoon. I'm probably going to, I've been meaning to do this, but I want to give away a hunt with me, Eric, and the crew to somebody on the private members page too. I just haven't gotten around to filming it, but I'm going to put a little video clip together and I'm going to put that up there soon, so watch for it. If you're a paid member, we're going to choose somebody to come on the annual gun drives, which is usually our biggest viewed video.
mm-hmm.
So watch for that coming up. I know a lot of you don't see every video. That's why I'm warning you.
Yeah, in fact, that came up earlier. That was a question I had highlighted, and I'm sorry. I apologize to whoever asked that. They wanted to know if you were going to be doing that again this year, doing video, putting out those and that. Yours truly might even be on one of those videos. So I do have it marked in my calendar this year to get out there and do some of those deer drives. Those are they've always been some of my favorite videos and always wanted to be a part of it. So I think Dan's going to drag me out there with the rest of the crew, and I'm looking forward to it.
Should be cool.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll try to keep you informed as much as possible when our next show is. Like I said, I don't think we're going to be doing one next Tuesday, but hopefully the Tuesday after. So stay tuned. And good luck to everybody out there this season. I know some of you haven't quite started yet. You're only a week or so away. So you're gearing up and getting ready. For those of you that your season has already started, keep after it and be safe out there. Dan, thanks for another awesome episode. All right, guys. We'll
see you, everybody.